Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating a Life That's Nourishing Body and Soul. Today, we're talking to Maricel Rocha. I'm so happy to have Maricel with us. She's a friend and a colleague, and someone who I respect the work that she does greatly. And she also has a science nerd mind, and I love that. Maricel is an integrative health coach and positive intelligence coach, an expert in helping busy professionals over 40 reverse aging naturally. She worked about 10 years in corporate before becoming a creator and entrepreneur. Originally from Argentina and now living in California with her husband and three teenage daughters, Marisol holds a master's degree in biotechnology and a background in biochemistry. She seamlessly blends her scientific expertise with a holistic approach to health and rejuvenation. Maricel specializes in extending her clients' health span by creating personalized lifestyle interventions that focus on reducing biological age, optimizing weight, boosting energy levels, and minimizing chronic disease risks. She's a strong advocate for data-driven approach utilizing continuous glucose monitoring to optimize metabolic health and epigenetic testing to assess and manage biological age. Maricel is dedicated to helping her clients not just live longer, but feel younger, more vibrant, and fully energized for life, rejuvenated from the inside out. Welcome, Maricel.
Thank you so much, Tracy. OMG. I appreciate you being here with me, given that you're not feeling 100%. So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you and your audience.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And I love that you take science and holistic ideas and blend them together. And I think it's amazing how much more we're seeing of that. We just there's another one of the interviews is with a doctor, a Duke educated doctor, and the same kind of thing, taking the scientific but marrying it with the holistic approach. I think we'll see more and more of that coming, and I think that's a great trend. So awesome to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your story, Maricel, and what brought you to this point to be doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm from Argentina. I was born, raised, educated. Then I moved to Brazil, and then I moved to the States. My quest was always trying to figure out chronic diseases, specifically cancer research. So I had a cousin who passed away with pancreatic cancer. So to me, it was a very personal situation to understand. And that's why I became part of this group of scientists in Philadelphia doing cancer research. And when we were doing research, we saw that it was really hard, even implanting tumors from people to animal models. It was not representative of the whole person. So yeah, I was in charge of doing the genotyping, which means what was the genetic background of the animal and how that responded to certain treatments that we were doing. But I thought and I understood that even that science was back then, this is 20 years ago, right? It's a long time ago. Even though, we were doing everything and we were trying to follow, the protocols, I knew back then that the whole answer was not just in the organic, physical, cellular part, right? How can you represent emotions? How can you bring and put together, set up a protocol to measure, emotions, how emotions affect the progression of a tumor, right? Or another intervention that you are trying. So to me, it was very clear back then that the whole answer require a whole approach and not just what we see in the organic part, what it manifests or in the phenotype. So that happened 20 years ago, a little more now. And I thought to myself, okay, this is great, but it's not going at the speed that I need because now I already know that there has to be answers in the other areas, like the spiritual, like the emotional, like mindset, all of those things were not validated scientifically in terms of, practical approaches. So that coincide back to year 2000 when the Genome Project was finally done and published. And, people thought, okay, now that we have all the sequence, all the genes in the human body, we have an all understanding, we will be able to predict and understand diseases. But that didn't happen. And here's the cool part. I had to wait this 20 something years to finally get the tools that are actually measuring all the other things that were not there before, like mindset, spiritual, emotions, those things that were kind of hidden, invisible. Now we have the tools to measure. And now you can find publications on, studies done on these areas. How can we protect, support our health, extend health span, with our emotions, managing our stress, and uplifting our spirits. So it's fascinating. I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky that it's in my lifetime that I can find finally a scientific answer at a molecular level to all the things that I couldn't understand a long time ago.
A couple of things I want to touch on. You use the word life or health span, and the title for this interview is Health Span versus Lifespan. You want to talk about the difference between the two of those? Because I think up to fairly recently, when people talked about lifespan, they were just talking about the length of how long you lived. And that's what's measured. It's like, here's the statistic that we have. It's like people are in this country usually live this long and lifespan's decreasing. And that's what's talked about, is that number, that age number. So what comes into play with health? Because, living a longer life is, may seem really appealing, but not if it's not a life you want to live. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for that question. It's a little confusing. So lifespan is just the time alive, right? So it's how many years someone lived. That's it. That's a lifespan. Now, health span is how many years during that period of time of a lifespan the person is still healthy. So what we see is that most of the time, because now we have antibiotics, because we now have many medical interventions, we can extend the time that people are alive. But at what price, right? People are having cognitive decline sooner. So they may live 15 years or the last 10 years, not even recognizing the people they love, and is that valuable? Would you like to live longer at a price of, having issues in your health, in your cognitive health, or your ability to move, to be independent, right? How many of us are thinking, okay, I'm saving so that one day when I raise my kids and they're, I don't have any more things to do, I will travel, I will enjoy life. But then you reach your 70 something, or you're like 80 and you're like too tired. Your energy level is not up to, and then you have money in the bank, and then you're like not able to enjoy because your health is not allowing you to live and actually enjoy those last chapters of your life, right? So that's why to me it's crucial. The whole goal is for me to help people match the health span they have with their lifespan. So when it's time to go, it's up to them, because they are in perfect health in their minds and in their body.
So what are some tools that you use to help do that?
The first part is awareness. Awareness wakes you up. Like when you see the data, 70% of adult people in the US, 55 and up, receive. Actually, when you are 55, you have 70% of receive the first chronic disease diagnosis. And then it adds up. 70%, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a little more for men than women, but let's just, for simplification purposes, 70% is most of us.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't realize it was that high. That kind of explains. I've had a couple, a doctor that I saw that was not my normal doctor, and they're like, you don't take any medications? I'm in my 60s. You don't take any medications? And I remember talking to somebody about life insurance, and they're like, so what medications do you take? I said, nothing. And they're like, what? And I'm like, why are people so shocked that I don't take medications? Well, now I understand.
Yeah, you are in the little 30%.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And unfortunately, once you get one, the second one is like right there. You know, it comes at like a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a sad reality, but it is happening. And unfortunately, instead of, we're growing in technology, we're growing in so many areas, but this fact is coming too soon, like compared to our parents' generation. Um, our generation is suffering this even more. So
Mm-hmm.
what do I do, you ask me? So first is the awareness, right? So and that's why I love epigenetic testing, because it gives you the data of prediction, what's going to happen to your health span
Mm-hmm.
unless you change your lifestyle now. So when
Mm-hmm.
you take an epigenetic test, you get to know um, how close the percentage of risk that you have to develop chronic diseases. So things that are under your control and that you can prevent or postpone the onset just by optimizing your lifestyle. So first is the awareness. Second is that understanding what are the main things that you can optimize so that you can reduce those risks. And that's how I help my clients with, awareness and extension of health span, so that I'll introduce a new concept here, but basically extension of health span
Mm-hmm.
means live longer or extend the life that you are still in optimal health.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the concept of biological age that is very important to understand when people talk about age reversal or, rejuvenation. What does that mean actually? So you have two ages. You have your chronological age. Nobody can change that. It's the time alive. Yeah. How many birthdays you had until now. And then you have your biological age, which is actually how your body's functioning, right? And that number could be younger than your chronological age, meaning you're aging really slow. It
Mm-hmm.
could be average the same, but average is a tricky question because, average is like most people, biological age is actually older than their chronological age, which means they're aging faster. They're aging more than 12 months per year. And when we bring this awareness, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 60, but my biological age is 64 or 68. And you're like, okay, what do I need to do to lower that number so it's even younger than my chronological age? And that's the concept of age reversal. So when you hear there's a trend of age reversal, and you're like, this is science fiction.
That's what it sounds like.
Right. It means that you have all the tools, you have the power to reduce your biological age. Wherever you are now, we can, that's how I help my clients. We get awareness, we get the number, and then we set up a personalized plan to reduce that number.
So, and this is one thing I love about Maricel. It sounds like the way that you go about this, it's all very measurable.
Yes, because guess what? What you can measure, you can manage.
There's a scientist in
Until
you.
Yeah, until not very long time ago, people would measure biological age just by simple questionnaires, right? But it's very helpful. So I have my quiz, for example, that just answering a few questions, you can kind of estimate your biological age, and you can understand if you're aging slower or faster. But now we have molecular tools based on DNA methylation patterns, and this powerful test, it's not actually the test that is powerful. The powerful thing is how they do it. They run very powerful algorithms. They use machine learning and AI, and they compare your data with thousands of people from a data bio bank, where they can see, okay, female, your chronological age with that similar DNA methylation pattern develop X, Y, and Z in whatever number of years ahead. So the way I explain this so that people understand easier is like when you're driving, you have your mirrors, right? So that would be equivalent to the lab panel that you get when you get your physical. And then your doctor tells you, okay, your glucose is high, your hemoglobin, A1C, or your lipid profile, whatever. So you know where you are at the moment when you're driving, right? Now, epigenetic testing, they bring epigenetic proxy biomarkers that would be the equivalent to the bird
The bird's
view,
eye view, yeah.
right? That checks your past, your history, the way you've been aging so far until now, and it projects what's going to happen to you unless you change now. So it's a powerful tool because in addition, this is not going to replace. This complements data from the clinic that you may have now, and will give you understanding of what are the things that are happening that are, that I can control to actually rejuvenate. Like, for example, it would come with the age of organs, 11 organs in your body. And that's how I can share my own experience. My heart was aging at my chronological age when all the other organs were kind of younger, all of them. So I put together a protocol to just support my heart and then took the test again so that the only intervention was that. And then guess what happened? I reverted the age of my heart by 2 years. So, having tools like this makes you understand and makes you actually validate that what you're doing to get healthier actually works. And then you can claim, like, instead of saying, oh, I lost 20 pounds, you can say, oh, I rejuvenated, like me, I rejuvenated 8 years.
Which is so much more important in the overall. That's one of the things that's like, it's not that weight doesn't matter, but it's not the be all end all, but it's what we focus on so much. Not just medically, but also, the whole culturally and all that kind of thing. So it's so important to look at so much more than just that. And it's not even the most important thing. So Maricel, you talked about this reversal, and it sounds like this is a lot. It sounds like, oh my God, I mean, it's exciting that it's possible, but this sounds like a big job. And, if I've been living 60 years and I've been aging my heart more than that, how long is it going to take to see some progress in the opposite direction? Is this something that takes a long time?
Well, in the clinical studies that are published, it takes 8 weeks.
8 weeks?
Wait. It takes 8 weeks. Average for people, women and men, to revert about 2 to 3 years their biological age. But these are interventions that are really strict. Like, when I say interventions, it's whole lifestyle changes.
Gotcha.
The way you sleep, the way you manage your stress. So people have to do meditation at least 20 minutes per day. They have to eat, certain way. They have to take some supplements. They have to, it's really strict. So from that would be like the, most ambitious goal. What I do with my clients and the evidence that I have from my own experience and the people that I help, it takes 6 months with a realistic approach to revert between 2 to 3 years your biological age. Meaning you can always improve. There's always room to improve many areas of your life. And in my blueprint or my way of doing, I cover 7 different areas, including nutrition, including exercise, mindset, cultivation of joy is another one, environmental exposure, and many more. So it takes, as I said, about that would be the average. And some people are really ambitious and they, put together. But like, for example, mindset is crucial because most of the time, if they don't have the strong mindset, they revert back to old habits, right? So as part of my packages now, I include positive intelligence, the mental fitness part in my packages, because that bulletproofs them from self-sabotage. So, and I'm getting amazing results. I'm super excited. And then, yeah.
That goes back to what you're talking about, changing from the inside out, that mindset piece, because it really is just, if you jump in and change all the habits, there's benefit in that, but that's not what sticks. What sticks is when it becomes an identity. This is your identity, and that's the mindset piece. That's so exciting. This is just really exciting stuff to talk about, Maricel. You have a free offering and a VIP offering for our listeners, correct? You want to tell us about those?
I do. I have a quiz specially designed for you to know what subtype of ager you are. You know, if you're curious and you want to know, am I aging too fast? Am I aging slow? So take my quiz. It's a series of questions, and you will get a report, customized, personalized for you, depending on what type of ager you are. And it comes also with ideas and tips and, many things you can do to improve and slow your aging process. And then for my VIP offer, I have my age reversal breakthrough session, where I will help the people. I'll help people with understanding the seven. Remember, I mentioned 7 pillars of age reversal. So I'll basically help the client to audit each one of those 7 pillars, so that at the end of the session, it's 50 minutes to about 1 hour. They get a summary of what can they do on each one of those 7 pillars to reverse their aging process and start now. The sooner, the better.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. And we're going to close out our interview time with the question of, what do you think are 1 or 2 or 3 of the things that you feel are the most integral keys to having a life that really nourishes us body and soul?
Thank you for that question. Because it's so hard to get in the same priority, I'll just give you my main one, which is purpose. I think that purpose summarizes the whole idea. It gives you the driving force. It gives you visibility to where you're going. And I start there, with every time I meet someone interested in my programs, I start, what is your why? Why would you like to become a centenarian, for example? What would you like to do when you reach your 100th birthday? And most people are like, well, I want to travel. I want to be a witness in the life of my grandkids and my grandkids. And, so give yourself permission and cultivate that purpose, because that's the key.
Well, thank you so much, Maricel. I agree. That is very much of one of the keys to living a life that truly is nourishing body and soul. Thank you for being here, Maricel, and thank you for listening today. Keep an eye on your inbox for more interviews to come to help you to create a life that is nourishing for you, body and soul.
Thanks for having me.